Howdy, compelled unbeliever here. Why don't I believe Muhammad or Paul? Well, it's because I have hallucinations every single day. It just got real. So, Muhammad claimed that he had visions and that he was visited by astral beings. Paul claimed that he was visited by Jesus after Jesus had died. Do I actually believe that they had these experiences? Absolutely. I am also completely convinced that these experiences were not concordant with reality. I have a form of narcolepsy that is known as hypnagogic hallucinations, in which when I go to sleep, when I start to sleep, I dream before I actually fall asleep. So I am both dreaming and still conscious. This was explained to me by my sleep doctor. There are, I believe, 5 stages of sleep, and I skip a bunch of those stages and I go straight to the REM sleep. And so thus I dream literally before I am fully asleep. So I can start having a dream and actually listen to a conversation in the room and keep track of both at the same time. As I get deeper into sleep, while I'm still awake, it gets more and more difficult for me to differentiate what is real and what is not real. I cannot differentiate my dream from things that are actually happening. Now, where that gets really weird is it gets filed away in my brain in the same place as memories. So when I wake up, if I was Pharaoh of Egypt in my dream, it is an actual real memory, just as I woke up and went to work that day. Obviously, if it's a good and cool enough dream that I was Pharaoh of Egypt, then I can say, okay, that was just a dream. There are often times when I wake up and I have to think really hard because my dreams were concordant with reality. They were things that I normally do or whatever. Say I was going to sleep and I'm taking a nap in the afternoon, and I was thinking about doing chores, feeding the animals. So I start to sleep and I start to dream about it. I'm dreaming that I am actually doing the chores. So when I wake up, I have a memory, because I was actually awake, of doing the chores, feeding the animals. So I have to stop and think about it. Did I actually do chores before I went to sleep? Because I remember doing it all. So I think, okay, I fed the goats, I fed the chickens, I fed the rabbits, I fed the elephant. We don't have any elephants. So then I know I have to go do chores. Other times, there isn't an elephant in the room, so to speak. And I remember actually feeding all the animals that I do have. So when I wake up at those points in time, I think about it really hard, and if everything seems legit, like I really did do everything, I still have to go take a look and make sure the horses are eating, because if they're not, I realize, oh, I just dreamed it. I just had a hallucination. And then I go feed the animals. Sometimes it gets even more difficult. I kind of like in the Hunger Games where they played Real or Not Real. Maybe I'll ask my wife, did Joe say he was moving to Georgia? And she'll look at me and say, no, he's 93 and in a nursing home. Or she might say, oh yeah, his family's is moving him closer to them into another nursing home. The thing is, if I cannot differentiate reality in those cases because I remember in my actual memory from being awake having that conversation with him, and it may have never happened. Now, luckily, since I am aware of my condition, most times I can differentiate, but sometimes I have to ask my wife or ask my daughter or my son, did this really happen? Because I don't know. What is a little scary is I kind of wonder how many things that seem so real that I don't even question it, that I don't ask my family. Maybe somebody was looking at buying a car. My daughter was looking at buying a car, and she decided not to. But I dreamt it all. So, yeah, it could be totally real. I wouldn't even think to ask anyone about that because it's completely real in my memory, my actual awakened state of consciousness. So, I was a young earth creationist, fundamentalist, extremist, extremely religious. So, what really comes to mind now is what if I was going to sleep and thinking about Jesus? What if I went to sleep praying? Would it be possible for me to have a Jesus experience where I walked around, talked to Jesus, and he said normal things that I could totally accept as real? You know, feed the poor, whatever. Maybe you should go to Honduras and preach there. That would have been totally okay with me. I would have had instructions from God. How would I know if I wasn't aware of my condition that that wasn't Jesus telling me that? Now, there are many different types of conditions. My mother and my grandmother were actually schizophrenic. Now, I am told they had hallucinations. I don't know to the extent they were. I do not have any type of schizophrenia, but I do absolutely have hallucinations. And I remember those consciously. So, back about 35 CE, when Paul was seeing visions of Jesus and talking to Jesus, and Jesus was telling him things, around 650 CE, when Muhammad was writing the Quran, when he was having visions and having celestial beings visit him and tell him what to put in the Quran. How do I know that they weren't having hallucinations just like I experience every single day? There weren't any sleep doctors. There were no psychologists. The whole idea of psychology and modern medicine didn't even exist. If someone had hallucinations at the time, they were either considered demon possessed, or in some rare cases, they were considered great religious leaders. And it's even happened more recently with the founder of the Seventh-day Adventist Church and Mormonism. So, did Muhammad and Paul actually have these experiences? I am convinced they did. I am fully convinced that they knew in their conscious cognitive mind that these things did happen. But I question if those events were concordant with reality, because I have those experiences that they did every single day. And I know they're not real. I am a compelled unbeliever. I no longer believe there is a God.